Humans crossed into the Dominion and didn't back down. Captain Alina Voss stood on the bridge, her hands resting lightly on the railing, her eyes scanning the unfamiliar territory. Beyond this thin veil of interstellar dust lay Dominion space. The Dominion, a galaxy-spanning empire, was known for its strict order, its military might, and its unforgiving nature. Every human who had dared to enter it had either vanished or been humiliated. And yet, here they were. "Captain, sensors are picking up unusual energy signatures," Lieutenant Curran said, pointing at the holographic display floating in the air. "They're moving fast and they're heading straight for us." Alina's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The display zoomed in to reveal small, sleek ships moving with terrifying precision. Dominion scouts. Their designs were unfamiliar, alien in their elegance and efficiency, but their intent was clear. They were testing the humans. "Everyone, stay calm," Alina said. Her voice was steady, though the tension on the bridge was palpable. "This is what we trained for. No sudden moves unless I say so. Keep scanners running, shields at optimal, and be ready to maneuver." The crew, a mix of humans from Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies, nodded. Each one was seasoned, but the weight of being the first human ship in this sector was not lost on them. Humanity had crossed into Dominion space, and no one knew what would happen next. The scouts closed in. The Odyssey's sensors read their weapon systems, scanning for weak points, but the Dominion's technology was different from anything humans had seen. Their energy signatures were precise, controlled, almost elegant in their lethality. "Captain," said Ensign Ray, the youngest member of the crew, her voice trembling slightly, they're just observing. No weapons fired yet." "That's exactly what worries me," Alina replied. "Humans were unpredictable, and the Dominion did not appreciate unpredictability. But humans had one advantage the Dominion could never anticipate: creativity. The first move came without warning. A Dominion scout fired a warning beam across the Odyssey's path. The light seared space, barely missing the ship but leaving a trail of ionized particles in its wake. A clear message: leave now or face consequences. Alina's mind raced. Retreat was an option, but humans did not retreat from unknown territory. Humans explored, humans adapted, and humans never gave up. "Evasive maneuvers," she ordered calmly. "Bring us to a safe distance but maintain our trajectory. Keep them in our sensors. Let them think they are in control." The bridge hummed with activity. Engineers rerouted power to shields and engines. Pilots adjusted the thrusters, weaving through the small asteroid field they had been using for cover. The Dominion scouts pursued, precise and relentless, but the Odyssey's unpredictability made them hesitate. Human ships moved differently. They didn't follow predictable patterns. They didn't think like machines. As the seconds stretched into minutes, the tension thickened. The Dominion didn't fire again, as if testing whether humans would panic. Alina leaned over the console, tracing the trajectory of each scout with her fingers. "They're expecting fear," she murmured. "They want us to back down." "Then let's give them something else," Curran said with a grin. He tapped the controls, activating a series of holographic decoys. Tiny, glowing projections of the Odyssey darted through space, confusing the Dominion sensors. For a brief moment, the scouts hesitated, scanning, recalibrating. "That's it," Alina said. "Now we move." With a nod, she directed the Odyssey into a sudden, unpredictable spin, weaving through the asteroid field with a grace that only humans could manage. The Dominion scouts fired again, but the shots either missed or were absorbed by the ship's reinforced shields. On the bridge, a tense silence was broken by a laugh from Ray. "They're chasing ghosts," she exclaimed, pointing at the holographic decoys that seemed to multiply with every second. "They're not chasing ghosts," Alina said, smiling faintly. "They're chasing human creativity." The chase continued for hours. Dominion tactics were precise, calculated, and relentless, but humans were different. Humans adapted. humans improvised. When a narrow asteroid belt threatened to trap the Odyssey, engineers suggested they jettison part of the ship's external cargo modules to create space for a narrow passage. Alina approved instantly. In moments, the modules detached, spinning into the void as the ship slipped through the barrier with inches to spare. Finally, the Dominion scouts pulled back, their formations breaking for the first time. Sensors indicated they were observing, recalculating. Alina allowed herself a small sigh of relief, but her eyes never left the readouts. Dominion forces were not defeated, not yet. They were simply puzzled. Humans did not retreat. Humans did not follow the rules the Dominion expected. Humans were unpredictable. Captain Curran said quietly, "They're hailing us." Alina nodded. "Open a channel." A cold, precise voice filled the bridge. "Humans, you are in Dominion space. Leave immediately or face destruction." Alina looked at her crew. No one flinched. No one spoke. Humans had crossed this boundary knowing the risks. To back down now would be unnatural. She leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "We are explorers," she said. "We mean no harm. We are charting the stars just as your people do. We will not leave, not yet." The bridge went silent. The Dominion voice hesitated as if surprised by the human defiance. It was not fear. It was simple, stubborn determination, and the Dominion had not expected it. "Very well," the voice said finally. "We will watch you. Any attempt to alter Dominion assets will be met with force. This is your only warning." The channel went silent. Alina turned to her crew. "They're watching," she said. "But that warning, it's just a warning. They don't know what we're capable of yet." Ray shook her head, still wide-eyed. "Do they ever give up?" Alina smiled. "Humans, not when the path is new and the stars are out there waiting." As the Odyssey continued deeper into Dominion space, the crew worked tirelessly. Engineers examined shields and propulsion systems. Scientists recorded data on Dominion energy signatures, and pilots practiced maneuvers that no Dominion training would anticipate. Each member knew one thing: humans had crossed the line, and they would not retreat. Later, in the quiet of her cabin, Alina stared out at the stars. She thought of Earth, of the long journey humanity had made to reach this point. And she thought of the Dominion, a vast empire that believed it understood the universe. They did not. Humans never followed predictable patterns. Humans adapted. Humans endured. Humans persisted. Somewhere out there, the Dominion fleet would try to test them again, and humans would respond not with fear but with ingenuity. The first contact had already changed the Dominion's expectations, but this was only the beginning. In the darkness of space, the Odyssey moved steadily forward. Humans had crossed into the Dominion, and they had not backed down. They were explorers, scientists, engineers, dreamers, and fighters, and in every one of them burned a quiet, unyielding truth. No empire could predict the will of humanity. Outside the ship, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to politics or power. But inside the bridge, humans moved with purpose, hearts steady, minds sharp. And somewhere among those distant stars, the Dominion was beginning to realize that a species it had underestimated might soon reshape the rules of the galaxy. Alina turned to her crew once more. "Prepare for whatever comes next," she said. "They will test us again, but remember this: humans never back down." And for the first time in Dominion space, a human smile spread across her face, not from fear, not from arrogance, but from certainty. The journey had only just begun, and humanity was ready. The Odyssey glided silently through the outer rim of Dominion space. Stars streaked past as the ship's engines hummed in perfect rhythm, carrying the humans further into territory that no human had officially entered. But this was no ordinary exploration. Dominion sensors were everywhere, scanning for anomalies, and the humans had already drawn attention. On the bridge, Captain Alina Voss stood with her hands behind her back, watching the readouts. "They're watching us," she said quietly. And not just the scouts this time. High Command knows we're here, Lieutenant Curran frowned. A full Dominion fleet. Do you really think we can handle that? Alina's eyes didn't leave the screen. Handle them? No. Outsmart them? Absolutely. Remember, humans don't fight like anyone else. As if on cue, the sensors lit up with multiple contacts. Sleek, enormous ships approached from the edges of the system, each one bristling with weapons. This was no scouting party. This was a strike fleet. Dominion forces, confident and disciplined, assumed that humans would flee once confronted with overwhelming power. But humans did not flee. Divert all non-essential power to shields and engines, Alina ordered. I want full tactical awareness. Sensors scan for anomalies in the local starfield. Pilots, be ready to use every asteroid and gravitational wave for cover. We're going to make them work for every inch. The crew moved with precision. Engineers hummed as they rerouted power through redundant systems. Sensors scanned constantly, looking for small variations in Dominion ship positions. Pilots adjusted thrusters, weaving around asteroid belts and small planetary rings. Every move was calculated, yet unpredictable, designed to frustrate the Dominion's assumptions. Hours passed with tension thickening the air. Then came the first move from the Dominion fleet. Energy beams cut through the darkness, tracing straight lines toward the Odyssey. The ship's shields flared with blue light as each blast hit, but Alina's calculations had allowed them to dodge some, absorb some, and trick the enemy into thinking they had caused serious damage. They think they're in control, she said quietly. Let's show them they're not. Curran grinned. Time for the fun part, Alina nodded. Engage the decoys. The Odyssey's engineers activated the ship's holographic decoy system. Tiny projections of the ship flickered into existence, each one mirroring the ship's movements. The Dominion fleet paused for a moment, scanning and targeting multiple false images. In that brief hesitation, Alina seized the opportunity. Now, she commanded, head for the gravitational anomaly on the far side. Use the solar wind as cover. The pilots reacted instantly. The ship dove into a swirling field of ionized gas, its shields glowing as they absorbed the charged particles. Dominion weapons fired blindly, missing their target as the human crew navigated through the natural chaos. Brilliant, Ray whispered, leaning over the console. We're disappearing from their sensors. Alina allowed herself a small smile. Humans never gave up. Humans never gave in. They adapted, improvised, and outthought those who assumed sheer force was enough. After hours of maneuvering, the Odyssey emerged from the solar anomaly. But the danger was far from over. The Dominion fleet had regrouped and was still pursuing, their numbers overwhelming. Then, sensors picked up another set of signals, smaller, organic, and local to this system. They're Dominion-aligned, but they don't want war, Curran said after a moment. They're like mercenaries, maybe colonists. Alina studied the data. Perhaps, but they're oppressed, and they've been waiting for a chance to act. Let's give them that chance. The humans activated communication channels with the local population, speaking in simple, translated terms. They offered supplies, knowledge, and strategy. Slowly, the local ships began to join the humans, forming a small but determined fleet of allies. Humans, one local leader said over the comm, we thought we were alone. We didn't believe anyone could stand up to the Dominion. Alina's voice was calm but firm. We are humans, and humans never back down. Together, we can protect this system. Together, we can make them think twice. For the first time, the Dominion fleet met resistance that was not only human, but also unexpectedly coordinated. Humans had taught their allies how to use terrain, energy fluctuations, and unconventional tactics to evade and confuse the Dominion. The fleet moved unpredictably, striking and disappearing, a ghost in the void. The Dominion commander, aboard a massive warship with jagged energy cannons, growled into his comm. Identify your leader, Alina stepped forward. I am Captain Alina Voss of the Odyssey. We are not your enemies, but we will not run. If you want this system, you must earn it." The Dominion paused. Humans spoke with such confidence, such clarity of purpose, that it was unsettling. Their audacity was wrong somehow. Dominion officers expected submission, not defiance. The first skirmish came near a dense asteroid cluster. Humans led the Dominion fleet into the twisting, dangerous field. The Dominion ships were massive and rigid, their movements predictable, while the humans darted through narrow gaps, using the terrain to dodge attacks. Small Allied ships, inspired by humans, executed coordinated strikes, disabling Dominion weapons without risking lives. One Dominion cruiser attempted to ram the Odyssey, confident that raw strength would win the day. But Alina anticipated it. With a sudden shift of momentum, the Odyssey slid to the side, leading the cruiser into a trap of its own. Asteroids, previously unmoving, now became instruments of chaos. The cruiser's hull scraped against a large rock, causing sparks to rain in the void. The Dominion ship limped back, confused and damaged. "Did you see that?" Ray exclaimed, pointing at the sensor readouts. "We just outsmarted a cruiser." Alina didn't respond immediately. Instead, she studied the Dominion patterns. Humans did not rely on brute force. They relied on unpredictability. And now, the Dominion was beginning to learn the hard way. As the day wore on, the humans continued to outmaneuver the Dominion fleet. Engineers devised ways to disrupt energy communications, temporarily blinding enemy sensors. Scientists manipulated small gravitational anomalies to create false readings on Dominion scanners. Pilots executed daring maneuvers, weaving through narrow gaps, and sometimes disappearing entirely behind cosmic debris, only to strike again from unexpected angles. By the end of the day, the Dominion fleet had withdrawn slightly, reassessing their approach. The humans had not destroyed them. They did not need to, but they had proven that a small, clever, determined crew could stand against overwhelming odds. On the bridge, the crew exhaled, relief and exhilaration mixing. For the first time, humans had demonstrated to the Dominion that they were not easily intimidated. Alina addressed her crew, her voice quiet but steady. "This is only the beginning. They will try again. They may bring more ships, more firepower, but we have shown them one truth. Humans are not predictable. Humans will never back down, and humans inspire others to stand with them." Curran leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. "It feels incredible. They actually thought they could scare us, and we didn't even fight full force." "That's the point," Alina replied. "Fear is easy. Strategy, courage, and willpower, that's what makes humans dangerous. Remember this always. We fight with more than weapons. We fight with our minds, our hearts, and our refusal to surrender." Outside the ship, stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to human courage or Dominion fleets. But inside, the Odyssey hummed with life, energy, and purpose. The crew knew that this system and the galaxy beyond would not be simple. The Dominion would return, stronger and angrier. But humans had already proven one thing: no empire could predict their next move. In the quiet moments after the battle, Alina walked among her crew, offering encouragement, checking on systems, and making plans. Humans were explorers, yes, but also leaders, innovators, and fighters in their own unique way. And as they prepared for the next challenge, one thing was certain: the Odyssey and her crew would not back down. Somewhere in Dominion space, across light years of darkness, the enemy commanders whispered to one another, confusion in their voices. Humans. Unpredictable, stubborn, clever humans. They were not supposed to act this way. They were not supposed to survive. And yet, here they were. Alina, standing at the observation deck, looked out at the swirling lights of the distant stars. She thought of the humans who had built the first ships, who had dared to dream beyond their worlds. And she thought of the people now following her, small allies who had found courage because humans had led the way. "We are just getting started," she whispered to herself. and we will show them what humans can do. The Odyssey moved steadily forward, deeper into Dominion space, carrying with it hope, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. And somewhere ahead, the next challenge waited, a test of skill, courage, and will. The humans were ready, they always were. And as the stars stretched endlessly into the void, the message was clear. Humans had crossed the line, and they would not back down, no matter the cost. The Odyssey drifted silently near the outer rim of a Dominion star system, its hull gleaming faintly in the reflected light of a distant sun. Captain Alina Voss stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the readings. They were surrounded, not just scouts or a few cruisers, but an entire fleet, a massive, disciplined armada stretching across the void, each ship a testament to Dominion power. The Dominion had learned from the previous encounters. They were angry and they wanted to crush this human defiance once and for all. But Alina's calm did not waver. Humans did not cower. Humans did not surrender. "Captain," Lieutenant Curran said, his voice tight but steady, "we're outnumbered hundreds to one. Are we going to fight?" Alina turned to him, her eyes sharp. "Fight? No, outsmart, outthink, outlast. That's how humans win." On the displays, the Dominion fleet moved into position. Their commanders expected panic, predictable moves, or retreat. They would be disappointed. "Prepare the decoys," Alina ordered. "All ships, follow my lead. We're going to use every advantage this system offers." The humans activated a web of holographic decoys. Tiny projections of the Odyssey and allied ships flickered through space, multiplying the apparent numbers of the human fleet. Sensors of the Dominion ships flickered as they tried to identify real targets. "Good," Alina muttered. "Now we bait them." They moved toward the gravitational anomaly near the system's edge, a dense asteroid belt interlaced with small black holes and volatile plasma streams. It was dangerous, but that danger was an advantage. Humans were not constrained by rigid protocols. They could exploit chaos. The Dominion fleet pursued, massive ships plowing through space with lethal efficiency. Their weapons fired in perfect synchronization, slicing through the void. But the humans were gone, darting through asteroid gaps, vanishing behind plasma flares and reappearing unpredictably. "Commander Ray," Alina called, "coordinate with our allies. We'll split the fleet in 3 directions. Distract, confuse, then strike." Ray nodded, her hands moving quickly over the console. "Allies are in position, ready on your mark." Alina glanced at Curran. "Now." Suddenly, the fleet dispersed, each group weaving through treacherous terrain. Dominion weapons targeted the wrong ships, beams slashing through empty space or harmless decoys. The human and allied ships executed rapid maneuvers, dodging asteroids, plasma bursts, and gravitational anomalies. One Dominion cruiser attempted to cut off the humans. It fired relentlessly, confident that speed and firepower would overwhelm them. But Alina anticipated the move. With a precise maneuver, the Odyssey led the cruiser into a narrow corridor between 2 asteroids. The cruiser's massive hull scraped along jagged rock, sparks flying. Its shields flickered and its engines screamed in overload. "That's our chance," Ray shouted. Allied ships surged, striking the crippled cruiser with targeted blasts that disabled its weapons. It limped away, defeated but alive, a warning to the rest of the fleet. Alina studied the fleet's formation. "They're not used to unpredictability. Humans are chaotic in ways they cannot predict. Let's use that." The humans employed gravitational distortions to create false sensor readings, sending Dominion ships chasing phantoms. Engineers jammed communications to slow coordination. Pilots executed daring slaloms through plasma streams, their reflexes keeping them alive where machines might fail. Every move was calculated but appeared spontaneous. Dominion commanders grew frustrated, their perfect tactics failing again and again. Hours passed with this deadly dance. Dominion ships were strong, but humans were relentless. They did not need to destroy every enemy ship. They only needed to survive, confuse, and demonstrate that humans could not be beaten by intimidation or brute force. Then, Alina made her boldest move. Prepare the trap. All ships follow my signal. We're going to turn the battlefield to our advantage. Using a dense asteroid field ahead, the humans positioned themselves in a tight corridor, a funnel that left only a few ships at a time exposed. The Dominion fleet, eager for a decisive strike, pursued blindly into the trap. Now, Alina shouted. Engineers triggered small gravitational pulses, shifting massive asteroids into precise paths. Dominion ships, unaccustomed to moving hazards in their calculations, collided with the debris or were forced to veer off, breaking their formations. Energy beams struck asteroids instead of ships. Human pilots exploited the chaos, striking with surgical precision. One Dominion dreadnought tried to ram the Odyssey. Alina anticipated the maneuver, cutting power to engines briefly, allowing the dreadnought to overshoot, then accelerating through the gap left behind. Allied ships fired disabling blasts at the dreadnought's exposed engines. It stalled, powerless and vulnerable. Impressive, Curran said, shaking his head. We've got one of their biggest ships out of the fight without even destroying it completely. Alina nodded. Humans win not just by power but by thinking. Never forget that. Dominion expects direct confrontation. We give them something else entirely. As the battle raged, the humans coordinated with the local allies they had inspired. These ships, once oppressed and fearful, now moved boldly, following human strategies and showing unexpected skill. Dominion forces, trained to crush resistance, were forced to retreat as their fleet was scattered, coordination lost. In the midst of the chaos, a message came through from the Dominion High Command. The voice, cold and precise, boomed across communications. Humans, you are audacious, but this is your last warning. Leave or be destroyed. Alina smiled, her calm unwavering. We are already here, she replied. And we will not leave, not now, not ever. Humans never back down. The Dominion commander was silent for a moment, then abruptly cut communications. For the first time, the humans had pushed their enemy into uncertainty. They had not destroyed the Dominion fleet, but they had proven that humans could survive, adapt, and fight on equal footing in ways the Dominion had never expected. After hours of careful maneuvering and skirmishes, the Dominion ships began to withdraw. Their formations, broken and battered, retreated toward safer territory. The humans did not pursue. They had shown their strength, and the message was clear. Humans would not retreat, and they would not be underestimated. On the bridge, the crew exhaled, relief and triumph mixing in the air. The Odyssey had survived what no one thought possible. Humans had crossed into Dominion space and stood their ground against overwhelming odds. Alina addressed her crew, her voice calm but full of pride. Today, we proved something to the Dominion, to our allies, and to ourselves. Humans are clever, persistent, and courageous. We fight not just with weapons, but with minds, hearts, and unyielding will. Remember this moment. It defines us. Ray, smiling widely, added, We actually did it. We stood up to an empire and didn't flinch. Alina nodded. And the galaxy is watching. Wherever there are oppressed peoples, wherever there are those who fear the Dominion, they will see humans and know that resistance is possible. That hope exists. Later, as the crew rested, Alina walked alone to the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly into the void, indifferent to human courage or Dominion fleets. But humans had carved their place, proving that willpower and ingenuity could bend even the most rigid systems. She thought of Earth, of the long journey humanity had made to reach this point, and of the countless challenges ahead. But one truth remained clear: humans never back down. They adapt, inspire, and survive, and their spirit could not be extinguished by any empire, no matter how vast. A young engineer approached her quietly. "Captain," he said, "do you think they'll come back?" Alina smiled faintly, her eyes still on the stars. Of course they will. They always do, but so will we. Humans always rise to meet the challenge, and next time they'll see we've learned even more. Outside, the stars glimmered, silent witnesses to human defiance. The Odyssey moved steadily forward, deeper into Dominion space, carrying with it courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. And in the hearts of her crew, a quiet truth burned brighter than any star. Humans had crossed the line, faced an empire, and had not backed down. The Dominion may have been vast, disciplined, and powerful, but humans had shown that even the mightiest empire could not predict the will of a determined species. Alina turned back to the bridge, her hand resting on the railing. "Prepare for the next challenge," she said. "They'll return, but we'll be ready. Humans never back down, and we always fight smarter, braver, and together." The Odyssey glided on, a beacon of human courage in the darkness, a reminder to the galaxy that no matter the odds, humanity would always find a way, and that their spirit could not be crushed. In the void, the stars stretched endlessly. But among them, humans shone brighter than any light, and their journey had only just begun.